Today on Lost in the Garage, we're going to look at 3 tools and determine whether they are a need it or nice to have tool. Now, my opinions are simply based on my experience, but I would love to hear from you all in the comments section below. The first tool we'll look at today is a Dremel, or a multi-purpose rotary tool.
What?
Dremel is to multi-purpose rotary tool as Kleenex is to tissue paper. A Dremel is great because you can perform a variety of tasks. There may not be any tool quite as versatile. You can use it as a cutout tool, a sander, a polisher, an engraver, a router, a grinder, and the list goes on. And that's because there are so many attachments to this tool, and they're relatively inexpensive and easy to change out. You can transition from a cut tool to a sander in seconds. Now, don't be fooled by its size. It's small enough to do detailed work, but big enough to handle high speeds, and its ergonomic design makes it comfortable to use for long periods of time. All that said, it's not a perfect tool. While there are cordless versions, most versions will keep you chained to a wall. For some people, like myself, that's totally fine. For others, that's a no-go. Also, while it is well built, there are some attachments that wear out quickly. They are inexpensive to replace, but still. So, is a Dremel, or a multi-purpose rotary tool, a need-it tool or a nice-to-have tool? Personally, I don't use it that often. However, when I need it, it is fantastic to have. There are some people that will use it more often than I will. I'm going to go ahead and classify this as a nice-to-have, although it's probably the closest you can come to a need-it tool. Now, when I started my woodworking hobby, I owned 3 power tools: a circular saw, a jigsaw, and a drill. And it was not a nice drill. It was some cheapo drill from Sears, I think, and it had 1 speed and short battery life. And you know what? I loved that thing. I used it and abused it until the day that it died and went to tool heaven. I used it for projects far beyond its capability. Now I've upgraded to a DeWalt. I love this drill as well, but my decision today on whether it's a need-it or nice-to-have tool is not based on the brand, but purely on the function and usefulness of a drill. With a drill, you can bore holes of different sizes. With the bits that I have, I can drill a hole as small as 3/4 of an inch and as large as 6 inches, which can be used for recessed lighting or cornhole boards. With a drill, you can also save yourself time by not hand screwing your flat, Phillips, square, hex, or Torx head screws. With a drill, you can drill pilot holes, mix paint, grout, or concrete, or you can sand or buff with it. So, is a drill a need-it or nice-to-have tool? 100% this tool is a need-it tool. Whether you are a woodworker, DIYer, experienced, inexperienced, everyone, regardless of your level of DIY interest, needs to have a drill. Whether you live in a house, apartment, tiny house, you need to have a drill. When it comes to your woodworking projects, regardless of what they are, there's always going to be some level of sanding involved. There are various types of sanders, and some are used more frequently than others. But today, let's talk about disc sanders. A disc sander either sits on a bench top or on a stand. It has a circular sanding disc attached to a plate with a support table for your piece of wood. It can create a smooth surface, or it can be used to shape wood. Disc sanders are great for sanding curves, and they can also add bevels, although there are better tools and better options for doing that. I'd seen a lot of woodworkers on YouTube using a disc sander, and I thought, well, that seems really nice. And then I used one for the first time, and I thought, holy cow, this is nice. It helped me overcome some of the imperfections in my woodworking. Some of those due to just me being inexperienced, and some of those due to the cheap tools that I was using. With the disc sander, I could sneak right up onto the cut line that I wanted. Now, that being said, is a disc sander a need-it tool or a nice-to-have tool? I'm going to have to say it's nice to have. There are other sanders that I would put above having a disc sander, like a random orbital sander or a belt sander. You can get the same or at least similar results with those. For that reason, I'm going to say it's really nice to have. So what are your thoughts? Do you agree or disagree? Leave your comments in the section below so that anyone who's in the market for one of these can make an informed decision. Also, let me know if there's any specific tools you would like me to judge as either need it or nice to have. Until next time, go get lost in the garage.